Sit down.
No introduction needed.
Both cams?
Both cams going.
Both cams.
All right, so dang, I forgot.
Mine went blank.
Oh man.
Don't eat up this space on these memory cards. Get to the business. It's different when the camera's on.
This is a special episode of We Might Just Get Fired. And because I'm a teacher, we all teachers at heart, you know, Mr. Clay, Mr. Millich, myself, Mr. McMillan, we all teachers, and I just closed on the house, me and my wife just did, and I wanted to do this to explain to everybody who don't know about the home buying process. I wanted to break down everything that you need to know to buy a house, all right, what takes it, what goes into it. Break the myths, all right, can I buy a house when I got a student loan? Can I buy a house when I still got debt? All of that, I'm just gonna share the journey that me and my wife went on to get to this point. All right, so yeah. So back in March 2018, that's when we started this thing right here. All right, and we said that we gonna pay off all our debt. That's the start of everything. Well, a little bit before that, when we was about to get married in 2016, we started looking at our finances because we had to pay off a marriage. We had to pay off a wedding. And we said, let's write down all our debts, how much we're paying toward it, and see what they look like. And what we found out is that every month we was paying $1,000 in debt every month. And we said this stuff we don't gotta pay for. This stuff that if we paid it off, we could keep an extra $1,000. So I read Rich Dad Poor Dad. It put me on. It got me thinking. And after we got married, we came up with a plan. I became an educator in 2018, and we had started this. We wrote down all our debts before then and said we was gonna pay them off. We started listening to Dave Ramsey initially, and we said we gonna do the debt snowball to take care of everything. And the goal is to be like millionaires. That's the real goal. So we can give how we want to give. But one of those life goals was to buy a house. So we started looking at different ways of what it takes to buy a house. And we thought we was ready in 2019, but then we had this section at our church where we was doing a financial makeover for the church. And we had went to that class, and it was like, if you got this amount of debt and you don't got this amount of money, you're not ready to buy no house. And we was devastated. We was like, dang, we can't get it. Because once you have the knowledge, you are then obligated to follow that knowledge. I feel like that's what it is for us anyway. Because if you don't, you foolish if you don't. All right, so we had to take a step back and say, we got to take care of this first. And that's when everything started. We wrote down all our debts, put it on the refrigerator, and said we gonna stick to the basics. We ain't gonna do nothing extra. We gonna stop going out to eat. We made a budget. That was a part of the first thing. We had to make a budget. We had to understand what a budget was. I was never told to write down what you gonna spend your money on every month. My parents didn't teach me that. Money was not talked about in the house, and I'm pretty sure all of y'all can attest to that. You know, money wasn't talked about. We never knew what was going on with money, so we didn't know how to handle money. We just knew how to spend it. So March 2018, we had health care, we had my student loan, we had Ebony's student loan, my wife, we had my car note, had her car note, a personal loan, and credit cards. We had all of those things. So we just broke it down from the lowest debt to the highest debt. We didn't do the interest. We started paying out the lowest debt at a time. And at that time, it was the credit card. The credit card was $870. All right, we paid that off in May 30th, 2018. Then, After that, we had Ebony student loan. Ebony student loan was like $7,500. We paid that off April 25th, 2019. Then we, oh no, I messed it up. We had this personal loan. The personal loan was about $4,500. We paid that off in December 2018. Ebony car was next. We paid that off November 18, 2018. Then we had Ebony student loan. We paid that April 25th, 2019. Then we had my car, and we paid that off July 15th, 2019. And then the only thing we had left was my student loan. Now, we at this time in 2019, last year, we was staying in our apartment, we was paying like $1,200 or so. What's to make when we got down to my student loan, because my student loan was about $50,000. So we had a choice to make. I talked to Ebony, and I was like, we paying $1,200 to $1,300 in rent. I know we said we want to pay off all our student loans first, but I can't, now that I know everything that I know, I can't continue to give somebody else $1,300 and it's not going towards nothing. It's rent, it's just going, I feel like we just throwing the money in the trash. I said, at least if we buy a house, $1,300 can be going towards something that's ours. So, and after we paid off my car, in July 15, 2019, we said we're gonna save up the same amount of money. We're gonna do the same thing, but instead of paying off the student loan, we're gonna drop that on the house. We started saving up the money for the house. We started saving it up. Then we got 2020 started. We was on our way. We always keep track of it normally, and we was still on track. We was getting our stuff together. Our lease is up in September. At our apartment, and we found out that we can get the credit check for the credit check for the house lasts 4 months. So you can get the credit check, and then you have 4 months to find the house until they got to run your credit again. January happened, February happened, Kobe died, and then March happened, and COVID hit like crazy, right? So immediately, I got antsy. I was like, Ebony, we should get the credit check right now. I'm trying to. At this point, I had stopped listening to Dave Ramsey. I started watching Dr. Boyce Watkins. I started watching The Minority Mindset, and all these other financial people talking about investing, talking about everything. I'm keeping up with everything that's going on. I started investing in the stock market like in 2019. And everything, I watched these stock prices go down. I'm like, we gonna miss out on opportunity. We about to miss out. And I wanted to do so much with the money that we had made, because the problem is what we deal with, opportunity be right in front of our face, but we don't have the capital to do anything. So once I had the capital to do something, I wanted to do something. I had gained all this knowledge. I had been reading books. I had been listening to podcasts, financial podcasts. I wanted to do something with it. But then she calmed me down. It's like, we just got to stick to the plan. We just got to stick to the plan that we made, because we feel like it was God given. Because when we was doing this, we never stopped giving, right? We had our own objectives to follow, but we never stopped giving though. And I feel like that's when our money really blew up. So yeah, COVID happened, and then so we just stayed the course. And in May, that's when we started everything. The first thing we had to do was get pre-qualified. Now, what that means is, this is the first thing that you do when you start the home buying process. You got to find a lender first. But thankfully, we already knew our realtor from church. He already put us in contact with the lender that he was gonna give, that we was gonna use. So we called the lender. They had to get us pre-approved. Now, this is when the lender, because you don't have $250,000 to put on the house, that means the lender got to get up in your business, because they about to loan you out a large sum of money. So they need to know how your finances have been. How are you with your finances? What is your debt to income ratio? What you've been doing? How much money you got saved? They need to know all of this. So the first thing they asked for, we had to give them 2 months of our checks. So teachers get paid once a month. I had to send, 2 paychecks to them. My wife get paid every 2 weeks, so we had to send like 5. And they also needed to know, they needed our bank statements. Bank statements for 60 days. So they can see what you've been doing. They need to see where the money is going to be coming from for the down payment and the closing costs. They need that account. They want to know if you got investment accounts, what savings accounts you got. All of that. They need to get all of that in order to like process your pre-qualification. And we did that. We got pre-qualified. We ended up getting pre-qualified for $300K. And that's when it started. Then in July, we said we not looking to buy a house until August or at the end of July. So we started looking at the beginning of July for a house. So then that's when we called up the realtor. He got us on this app called Redfin. That's the company that he with, Mr. Isaac Rickard. That's our realtor. Check him out if you need anything home buying related. He got it. He got a first time home buyers course and everything. So we went to the app Redfin and we started looking for houses. And we found some houses that we want. He told us to write down what our deal breakers are, what we had to have in the house, and that's how we started initially looking for houses. And we ended up looking at Waxahachie, Red Oak, Glen Heights area because their houses were affordable, and they also had new builds. Okay, we wanted something new. We didn't want something old. So we after 7 houses, I think we looked at like 6 or 7 houses. We found a house that had everything that we wanted. And after that, after we found the house, that's when we first started to put some money into it. So at this point, we had saved up. We had an emergency fund because we didn't want to buy a house without an emergency fund because we know that housing costs. You gotta have some. You gonna have some unthought of or some expenses that's gonna come out of nowhere for a house. So we had 3 months of our expenses saved up. Then on top of that, we also had like $20,000 saved up just in case, because we didn't know what the closing costs was gonna be. We was new to this. We didn't know what was gonna happen. All right, so we had all of that saved up. And the first thing they ask you to take a house off the market, you gotta pay what's called an earnest fee. And that earnest deposit is 1% of the house. So off top, before you do anything, you gotta take the house off the market to get the contract started. You gotta pay 1% of the house, right then and there. So we had to pay that. But that money still goes toward your loan, so that's a good thing. So that we got that out the way. All right, so this is where everything opens up. So if you have any questions, this will be where you need to ask the questions.
I mean, and again, man, we're happy for you. I'm very happy that we had to do this podcast, and because there are things that there are going to be questions when you're going into an endeavor, and a lot of people sometimes don't give home buying the credit that it is. It just, you are literally putting yourself on the line for thousands of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars. And so I think a lot of times, and this something like this form can be helpful because I think a lot of times, like you said, the lender's going to get your business, and a lot of people, and especially our people, we kind of you don't need to know all that. I got the money. No, I do need to know all that because this is a lot of money.
Right.
And just having an understanding of the process when you go into it, and also not allowing the lender to do things they're not supposed to do because sometimes lenders do a little too much. So you got to know that happy medium. So let's see. Let's go with the first question. This is probably what was the hardest part about buying this lovely home?
The hardest part about buying this home, it was, bro, it's the mindset. It's the mindset that from 2018 to now, I had to have a whole different. The mindset had to change. I couldn't go in as an employee anymore. I had to shift even though I wasn't owning I hadn't owned anything yet, but I had to shift my mindset to an owner mentality. I had to stop being a kid with my finances too. So that the whole going out, the fear of missing out, you can't buy what you want. You accumulating this money, but then you got to save this money because it's getting saved for a purpose. So I believe it's called delayed gratification.
That's what it's called.
Delayed gratification. So that was the hardest part, breaking that mindset, because from the time that we born all the way up to we move out from our parents' home, we have people shaping our mindset. It can be the TV, it can be the things that we listen to, and usually it's not educational. Usually it's not as helpful as it should be. So I had to reprogram my brain to say, nah, I'm gonna save this amount of money. My wife too, and thank God for the wife. If you got a wife and you got somebody, if you got to do this with somebody, they got to be on the same page as you. Thankfully, I had that too. So that made the transition easy. But yeah, the hardest thing was changing the mindset. Mind frame is like the biggest thing.
Okay. Yeah, so that's the hardest part, is really the lead up, the work that you do before you even get the lock and whatnot.
Yes.
So you said something earlier. I'm gonna take a step back. You mentioned credit cards. Do you think in your home buying journey was the use of credit cards, was it more helpful or harmful along the way?
Helpful or harmful? I think it was harmful initially, because what happened when we looked at our finances, our credit card debt, we had about $2,000 in the Capital One credit card. We were paying, the minimum was like $100, right? So we would pay $120. We wanted to do something. We thought we was doing something, but then when we look at the Capital One, thankfully Capital One has a part of their app where you can look at how much is going towards principal and how much is going toward interest. We looked at that thing, and that thing said $80 was going toward interest and $40 was going toward principal. Sometimes it was $20 going toward interest. I mean $20 going toward principal and $100 going toward interest. Ebony was like, bro, we ain't gonna never be able to pay this off. We ain't gonna get nowhere. So she said, we gonna get this personal loan. We're gonna take out a personal loan, because I think the credit card was like 20 something percent interest.
About 23 to 27.
It was high. So we was like, we ain't gonna never pay this off. So we had to get a personal loan that took care of that. And the personal loan was like 10% interest. And we was able to then take care of that. All right, because otherwise, if we had kept that credit card, we wouldn't have gotten it. We wouldn't have accomplished anything, because we would never pay it off. And also, our credit scores at the time of us starting this, our credit scores was like in the 600s. Once we started knocking out these debts, our credit score went up. Most people, I done talked to some financial people, and they said it's good to have credit. I mean, good to have credit cards when you're doing this. I don't agree with that. It's good to have credit cards if you understand how to use them, if you discipline in using it and then paying it all off. If you discipline, that's good for you, and it might work. But for us, for me, in my house, we had to pay that off and not have that anymore. But our credit score, when we bought this house, when we paid off everything, our credit scores was at 750.
Oh yeah, that's how you got that rate right there. Most people, I know, don't teach a financial literacy in my class, but we talk about it a lot. And I tell the kids, credit cards are a tool. I was like, in the hands of a, I've just gone blank that quickly. In the hands of a lumberjack, a saw is one of the best tools in the world. In the hands of a child, it is a danger. That is what a credit card is.
Basically.
If you know what you're doing, they're perfect. They're great. People use them, and because you need lines of credit, they want to see that you're gonna take debt and then pay it, but you don't need to get out of whack with it. Okay, you said earlier, we're gonna come back to this opulent home. You said earlier that you guys had deal breakers when you were looking for a home. What were a couple of the deal breakers?
The deal breakers, the wife did not want a garage to be in the back. in the little alleyway. Couldn't do it. Wasn't gonna happen. So the garage had to be in the front. We had to have an office. What else? The bathtub. I mean the master bedroom. The master bathroom had to have the toilet separate from everything else because you know we be stinking it up, and we don't want to smell that when you have to be in the shower. The kitchen space had to be big because you know we wanted to be able to host people, host family, host other things. It had to be at least 3 bedroom, 2 bath, at least, because this house was not just gonna be it wasn't gonna be just for us. My uncle told me, Uncle Dunn, he told me, he said, you can't be selfish when you buy a house. He said, because you got parents. Now, my daddy and Ebony daddy is dead, but we both got our mamas. So you have to set yourself up where if you need to take care of your mama, you can. So you can't be selfish when you buy a house. So we can't just do what we want to do. We have to keep other people in mind. It has to be like, for us, we have to have a giving mentality with it. So yeah, those are the deal breakers.
All right.
It also couldn't be closed off. We didn't want a lot of walls.
Open floor.
Yeah, we had to have an open concept. Yeah.
Gotcha. All right. So myths that you encountered. What are some of the biggest or most outlandish myths in home buying that you ran into or that you've heard and thankfully didn't have to run into?
Yeah. So I was told that you can't buy a home with student loans. Like I said, I had 50,000. My student loan 50,000. Most people can have more. Some people have less. But I feel like they'll tell you that you can't buy a home without a student loan, and with a student loan. And we had a student loan. I got a student loan. Still got it. It wasn't a factor. All right, because we had took care of other debts. Yeah. Another myth. I don't know. Can you tell me some myths?
I don't. Usually. You got myths. That home buying is very hard or it takes a long time.
Oh, that part. Home buying is hard. No, it's not. I don't know. At least for us, it wasn't hard because we had put the work in before. And what gets rid of the difficulty is research, study, talking to people. Other people have already did this.
Being prepared.
I mean, that's it. That gets rid of a whole bunch of other stuff, man. Because all you gotta do is talk to people that did it before. They have YouTube videos. I mean, it's a lot of stuff out there to help you like ease through the process. Like I said, the hardest thing was getting our money right so that we could to get the capital to buy the house. Once we start the process, we started looking in July. We found the house in July. We put the money down in July. We moved into the house in August. It wasn't hard.
Yeah,
that part wasn't hard for us.
The preparation is the key. I've seen working in mortgage closing. I've seen people close on a house in 15 days. Mm-hmm. But those are people usually cash buyers that have money, so they're not waiting on lenders and all that. But just the process of buying the house doesn't take a long time. You said it, and earlier when you said the hardest thing, it's being prepared. It's coming to the table and having everything. A lot of people get to the table and they don't have half of what's necessary.
Exactly.
Let alone everything. And for first-time home buyers, you guys were you only know your situation. You guys were incredibly blessed having a realtor that was, because a lot of people have to trust strangers or someone they hear from another one.
That's
had someone at your church house that's probably been a realtor your whole life. Is the older gentleman?
Nah, he not.
He
32. He not that much.
Like
30.
He in his 30s.
He in his 30s.
But most likely, how long has he been working in realtor? Probably about 10 years.
He worked full-time realtor. He a full-time realtor. I don't know how long he been doing it, but he full-time with it. That's his profession. He not a part-time guy. One-on-one.
That happens too.
Yeah. So
but that's the stranger thing. Like, you end up having to deal with a lot of strangers. But with having the realtor that is basically in home, that's what we would call it, and him having a relationship with a lender, you're a lot more apt to give things. And it seems, I think you dealt with a smaller lender, which in Texas, I don't have a lot of home buying tips. That's one. Because Texas is very weird when it comes to closing on houses.
Yeah, it wasn't a major bank.
You let the big bank fund you. You can take their money, but definitely make sure you have a lender with boots on the ground here in Texas that's gonna take care of that closing with you and for you. And a good lender will not only steer you away from a lot of bad things, they'll steer you into a very, very good. Some of the lenders I work with, they ain't paying, so I'm not gonna say the names. But I've worked with some lenders that have steered people into some really favorable positions, because that lender is also gonna help you be able to negotiate at the table. You know, sometimes a lender will say no for you. You'll send an offer to a builder or whoever, a seller, and they'll send a counter offer back, and sometimes your lender will say, no, no, this is what it's worth. This is what we're gonna pay, and the next one we're gonna see ain't gonna be $10,000 less. Straight up, like when you got a good realtor, good lender, that sometimes they can steer you into situations, especially lenders who know, like being a teacher, there are programs for us.
Yes.
Not, it's COVID, so some of them may be here or there at this point in time.
We did not get to take advantage of those programs. We didn't get any home buyer assistance.
Mm-hmm.
So even though we didn't get that extra money, we was able to get the loan that we wanted for. We could sell the house anytime we wanted to. We don't have to deal with those stipulations that's put on by those programs. The only thing that we got was the builder did a program. Did assistance for teachers. It was just $1,000, and not just that was. It's $1,000 just for being a teacher.
We'll take it. It's free money.
We'll take it. So that was a good thing. We did take it.
Does this lovely home have PMI attached to it? Do you have PMI on your
Yes. So PMI is private mortgage insurance, private, and that's just PMI is just, since we didn't have 20%, 20% that was too much, and we wanted to get in. And it was some unexpected costs that came up. We didn't know what closing costs were at the time. We thought we had enough money to put like 10% down. We didn't even have that. So when you don't put 20% down on the house, you have to get private mortgage insurance. It's not even your insurance. It's insurance for the buyer. For the seller. So that says since you don't got 20% down, since you don't got 20% equity in the house. Y'all got to pay this insurance because we don't trust you. That you'll be able to pay the house because you don't even got 20%. So yeah, we do have PMI, and PMI usually runs. I think I was like 0.5% of the mortgage, but
they're doing percentages now.
Yeah. So it's a percentage.
It used to be a number. PMI used to have a number on it. Your house is this much, is this, and this. Now it's a percentage of the house.
It could be. But it could still be like that. But once you get 20% equity in the house, you can ask for them to take the PMI off, because I have a conventional loan. Mm-hmm. It is not FHA. So conventional loan. I believe FHA. You have PMI for the life of the loan. All right. Conventional, it comes off after you pay 78%. You can request it be taken off once you have 20% equity in the house. Mm-hmm. But once you hit 22% equity, they have to take it off. Yeah. They have to.
Correct.
So
with the FHAs, it depends. Some of the loans do carry PMI the entire time.
Yeah.
But most of the time you just refi.
When
you get to 20%, you just refi, and they will tell you that.
And
the FHA will tell you that.
Refi is refinance. Mm-hmm. Just we don't want to show some stuff out there.
My next question: what were some of the unexpected closing costs?
Man. The closing costs, man. Can I really break this down for y'all?
Yeah, if you would like to.
Closing costs, my goodness. First of all, I didn't even know what closing costs was. I was looking at videos to YouTube. I was trying to see what a closing cost. I was just curious. I'm like, I hear about these closing costs all the time, but I really don't know what they are. And because I like to be informed. I want to know what they are. So it was one video that showed it. And it showed the line items and everything. It broke it down. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm not going to show you like what it is. I can tell it to you, but I'm not going to show it. So the closing costs, it was origination chart, origination costs. Origination costs is just the cost that you got to pay because they creating the loan for you. Mm-hmm. So you got to pay just for the lender to create a loan. You got to pay that, which I don't like either.
Do you know where that money goes?
Do I know where it goes? Mm-hmm. No, I don't.
Goes to the lender. part of it's the commission for whoever's working on whoever has originated and then underwrote your loan.
Okay.
Because as you noticed, how many times did y'all have to sign your signature?
I believe like 25 to 30.
That's shorter because it used to be 100.
Oh no.
A combination of 100
no.
signatures and.
You talking about at
initials.
closing?
Yes.
Nah, it was like 25.
Okay, so they've shortened it a little bit. Yeah, those
Yeah.
closing documents used to be about 75 pages.
Nah, bro. I got the stack, but
Yeah.
it wasn't that much.
So yeah, that's definitely where that goes.
But just listen to this. You have to, because you can't pay for the house in cash, you gotta pay to create a loan. And I feel like that was a scam, but it is what it is. But these loan costs, so they end up being like $1,800 for just for them creating
That's not bad.
for origination. All right, and then you have to pay for the appraisal for the home, which is this is when an appraiser comes out and says what the home is worth.
That's your best friend.
The appraiser.
The appraiser and the inspector, the people that come through after that, even with a new build.
It had to be. We had to find a third party inspector that came in and did it. They came in and do it, and then we had to pay for the
So
appraisal.
businesses used to have like their cousin and uncles doing those things. So now, that's one thing Texas got right. Like it's a hassle, and a lot of home buyers get upset about it. But it's really there to protect you. They make you go find somebody. You go find whoever you comfortable with walk through this house.
Mm-hmm.
But if you get somebody that's good, they will. We used to have a couple of appraisals, and we would read the appraisals, and I just love the old men appraisals. Like they'll walk up, as soon as I walked in, knew there was foundation issues. They can go in the house and take pictures of it. But a good appraiser can stand outside your house and tell you everything that's wrong. Just from, that looks like, all right, we're gonna go in and watch. There's gonna be some electrical stuff going. Yeah.
Hey.
So the appraiser, that's your best friend. That's the best $250 you gonna ever pay in your life. That is
The
best.
appraisal fee was $450.
Whew, okay, went up a little bit. All right.
$450.
Okay, went up a little bit.
You gotta pay for your credit report. Okay, that's on here.
What's that, about $69?
$88.
Yeah, okay, that went up a little bit.
Okay, the document preparation fee. I don't know what that is.
The docs that you signed,
Uh-huh.
somebody had to print them and check them. That's that person. You just paid them.
$210.
You just paid them.
Okay, then the flood certification, and that's just $10.
Yeah.
Okay,
Comes from
and then you have all of these title fees, and I think the title fees are just fees that you're gonna have to pay. The title fees ended up being like $1,300. And then the other costs. So it had other costs. It had a recording fee on here.
That's your deed with your name in the bank.
The deed.
Getting it to the city so they know you own this house.
Okay,
That's
so
what
that
the
you
recording
can't get rid of that. You gonna have to pay that anyway.
How much your city charge for that?
The deed,
No, for the
mortgage
recording fee.
the recording fee is $144.
Okay, it's not bad.
Okay, the prepays, and this is this is what they call escrow. Now escrow, I had to look at that up. I didn't find a lot of people that could just tell me what escrow is until I found a video on YouTube. So I'm explaining it the same
You
way.
can text me about that when I got you.
But he said escrow is just a piggy bank for the lender. All right? And what that means is because you didn't have 20% on your house, because you didn't save up 20%, I gotta keep a certain amount of money, like a year's worth of things you need to pay for, like taxes, homeowners insurance. I gotta keep this money for you because you're not that trustworthy with your money because you couldn't save 20% for the house. Okay, so the escrow fees, we had to pay the homeowners insurance, which we found on our own. We had to pay that up for 12 months. That's including the closing costs. We got to pay, also included in closing costs is the interest from the point you buy the house to the end of the month. So we bought our house August 10th, so we have to pay interest from August 10th all the way to August 31st, or 30, how many days it is in August. We had to pay that up front. And then we also had to pay for the taxes from August through the end of the year. That's also included in the closing cost. So I didn't know that. I think I did know that, but that's when the stuff can get pricey, right? Because when you got to pay the taxes, I can just imagine if you bought a house in February, you got to pay the taxes from February to the end of the year
Basically a year's worth of taxes.
as escrow. So thankfully we bought our house in August and we don't got to pay that. And then if you have an HOA, we have an HOA, so we got to pay an HOA fee. That's it. That's the only thing. That's all we have to pay. So all of those was closing costs. So if you ever want to know what closing costs is, you watch this video, and that's like everything that's included in closing costs. Almost everything. I'm pretty sure it could add up to some more things.
Oh,
But
yeah.
for me,
In your closing costs, that's where you can add or subtract money all the time. I've seen people put car loans in there and just do it. Cause think about it, car loan. Say you get a car and it's like 7% over 7 years. Well, if you're buying a house, say you got approved for $250, you bought a house for $200. The lender's willing to do it because you just read a list of all those numbers
Yeah.
that you signed. Those are all checks that are going out after you sign.
yeah,
Those checks get cut today and go out. So if you got, the lender is cool with it, and you got $50K extra, hey, let me put these 2 cars in there too. And those in that area down there by escrows, you see all kinds of stuff. Cars, boats, student loans are there sometimes. Cause again, it's a better rate. My student loans at 12, 15%. It's like, hey, let's just wrap this $10K in there. And everything's just gonna be at the rate you got for your house. So if you're at 3, 4, that's a much better rate than you're gonna get on a lot of things.
yeah. And speaking of the rate, to get the best rate on the house, just make sure your credit is good, man. In COVID, I seen that Chase Bank said that they wasn't approving anybody that didn't have a 700 credit score.
Yeah.
Like I said before, my wife and we had 750 credit scores a piece. That was like the minimum they was at. So we got a good rate. The rate that we got was 2.75%.
That's a great rate.
I heard people say that's a good rate.
That's a great rate.
I think it's a great rate too.
No, that's
but
a great rate.
but yeah, that's what we got. Also because of COVID, we was able to get in a house when interest rates was low because of COVID-19. So we was able to take advantage of that part of it. But all of those are closing costs. So if you didn't know what they are, origination charges, appraisals, credit report, all the title closing fee, the title, lender's title insurance, title tax certification fee, title endorsement fee, title Texas guarantee assessment, all of those, and then you have the prepaids, which is the homeowner's insurance. But you don't have to do the prepaids if you put 20% down, then you can control your own destiny.
Depends on the lender. Most lenders will still hit you with the escrows.
Oh,
Because in
yeah.
all honesty, it's a little bit of a beating at first, but it's nothing better than when you're about 2 or 3 years into paying this, and you're like, oh, you get that tax, oh, our taxes are due.
Well,
And it's like, wait, we don't have to send this money out. The bank gonna send it. But what I will say,
I wanted to have it where I pay my own tax. I didn't want it to be a part of the loan because that can make your payment go up on your loan
quickly,
and people are not like aware of that. Sometimes you can have, and I have a fixed rate. Interest rate, and the rate can still go up because of escrow. And some people don't know that. Some people say loans are going up on the house, and they don't know why. It's because of the taxes. The taxes can change, and they can make your loan go up if you're not paying it separate. So that's why I wanted to pay mine separate. We were just gonna, and plus, when you have that money on your own, you can put that money into a stock, or you can put it into a high interest savings account, and you can save some money on your taxes instead of having the bank hold it. I mean, that's what they're doing.
and they're collecting interest on it.
They collect the interest on your
I
taxes.
will say escrows are awesome when you first buy the house. As soon as you can get rid of them, as soon as you, because it's gonna take you a couple years to really get the flow of how your city is gonna handle taxes.
Yes.
Once you have an idea and you can kind of speculate for it, then it's by all means definitely do that because it can cause your payment to grow. And if you're budgeting one amount and you see that change, a lot of times people panic. Like you said, you got a fixed rate, but that only has to do with your principal and interest. Ain't got nothing to do with that escrow.
Principal and interest.
That's it. So
Escrow is different.
I would definitely suggest get your taxes back from them. And home insurance really don't change, so leave that in the escrow if you want. And so you just don't have to worry about it. They can cut that check, and you can go. What I would suggest, get your tax money back to yourself and put it. One of the lawyers at my old job said, put it in a CD. He says it's got to sit there for a year anyway.
Yeah, but I would try.
You get
Just
interest
best
on it.
believe, my good people, the bank is using your money.
Oh yeah.
When you put your money in the bank is the bank gives out credit cards. Think if I bank with Bank of America, once I put my money into that bank, that money is not staying there. It is not. They are lending out home loans, credit cards, personal loans, car loans. They lending out all of that and getting a big interest. Banks get 24% interest on credit cards. They get 10% or 17% interest on cars. All right, they get interest. They can get 10% on personal loans, while you getting 0.06% in a savings account, 0.1% in a CD. But you can put your money for the taxes. I can put my money in a stock and just a mutual fund, and put that in there for a year, and it might get 5%. I won't get the same thing that the bank is getting, but the bank won't be getting my money though.
You get close.
Yeah, I mean, depends on how good you are, but I always want to be able to take control of my money. I don't want somebody else holding my money for me. So that's why I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to have escrow, but I didn't have 20%, so gotta have escrow. I ain't mad at it. It's alright. As long as you're aware, you have the knowledge of what's going on. That's what it matters. That's what it depends on.
Just keep an eye on it. That's all. Just watch it. You start moving weird, you don't like it, tell them, get rid of it. I'll take it. Don't worry about it. I'll pay it.
Yeah.